Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Mile High Game Guys board gaming podcast. I'm your host, Adrian.
I am Zach.
And I'm Jeff.
And
good luck recognizing our voices based on that alone.
I feel like that joke was made the last time we recorded.
Was it?
Yeah.
We can make it every time because we always sound the same.
We're all
white guys.
We're all white.
We're all vaguely
I'm sure you can hear our
deep
facial hair.
voices.
So.
Well, we've got a guy from the South, the Midwest, and also the Midwest. So,
Guy from the South that doesn't really sound like he's...
nope, not at all.
I feel like...
As someone that just spent some hefty time in the South,
Yeah.
I'm glad I have not picked up on anything.
I feel like calling Colorado/Kansas the Midwest is misleading.
I don't know what I would call it, except a flyover state.
Kansas, absolutely flyover state. Colorado, destination.
Parts of Colorado. Let's say the western half.
Hey, at least Denver is no longer just like the city you fly into before you drive to the mountains. People actually come to Denver.
They invested in that airport.
They did.
I saw on YouTube Shorts, because I watched that, so that I see TikToks like 3 days later.
That sounds right, yeah.
I saw some dude, and it was definitely watermarked TikTok.
Yeah.
Bitching about like, oh, I like Denver well enough, but what the hell is wrong with you guys' airport? And he was like railing about DIA. And I
it's
have
been under construction for like 5 years.
And you can complain about the construction, but otherwise DIA, fine airport.
Yeah, totally.
It's got a good layout. It's not too bad.
I mean, its main problem is just how fucking far away it is from the center.
Denver. Yeah.
Let me tell you about Memphis Airport later.
Okay. But yeah, so I'll defend DIA.
Yeah.
Jeppesen Terminal. Don't know anyone who calls it. I don't even know who Jeppesen is.
Probably a racist.
Almost certainly. Given Denver's history, almost certainly.
Yeah.
That is a safe bet, sir.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is a board gaming podcast.
It sure is.
It's not a podcast where we talk about racist airport names.
Someone
that
that
was
just spent some time in the South. Let me
Yeah.
tell you about some racist airports.
Anyhow,
Anyways.
Jeff, you did not play games, so we will skip you for
I've
this
been
segment.
traveling and such. And I didn't go to game night before traveling because I had bantery things that I was doing instead.
There you go. So I'll start, and then we'll let Zach talk about what he's played.
Okay.
I played a few different things. So most recent, I missed the game night 2 weeks ago because it's been like 3 weeks since we recorded. So,
Something like that.
yeah. But at the most recent game night at D-Bolt, I played 2 new games for me. We got there, Megan and I got there a little bit early, and another new individual to game night did as well. And he introduced us to a new Oink game called Durian, like the fruit. And what Durian is basically it's like competitive Hanabi, I think is a fair way to describe it.
I've seen that Reddit thread.
Yeah, that was a doozy of a thread.
Yeah.
Essentially you've got a deck of cards that are have two ends.
Are they weird shaped cards?
They are
Okay.
very narrow cards.
Okay, yeah.
Because they fit in that like weird.
I mean, regular cards can fit in that box, but these are like weird
and
The half
shaped
cards.
yeah, the box.
Half
box
cards
is
the
small.
long way.
Yeah. So
hot dog.
hot dog cards. So one half of the card has one kind of fruit in a number from 1 to 3, and the other half has a different kind of fruit, also 1 to 3. And the kinds of fruit are like bananas. I fucking forgot.
Limes,
oranges,
Strawberries?
strawberries, and durian. I think it's 5. There's 5 different fruits.
Blueberries? Did we say those?
Maybe 6.
There's like a purple, a red, a banana.
I think the
The
green's the
durian.
durian, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, there's a few different kinds of fruit, and each card is divided in half long ways, and one half has one of the kinds, 1 to 3 pieces. The other half has the other kind, 1 to 3 pieces. At the start of the game, everyone takes one of them and puts it in a little holder facing away from them, so you don't know what 2 types of fruit are on your card. So everyone at the table has a card with fruit on it, and the the number of the different fruits collectively is how much supply you have for all of the different types of fruits. Then on each player's turn, you draw the top card of a deck, you look at it, you look at what you can see of the supply, and you put it facing, there's like a little cardboard tile that one side is like an X and the other side's a check mark. And so you place it where like the orders are going on the check mark side. So if you place it with like 2 blueberries on the green check mark side, you're saying that there are 2 blueberries on this table.
At least
At
two?
least 2
Okay.
blueberries on this table. Alternatively, as the game goes on and you get a longer line of cards saying that there's a bunch of different things, you can at some point ring the little bell to say, I think that someone messed up the order. At which point everybody reveals their cards, you count it up, and if the order can be fulfilled, like that's what the center card, that's the order. If it can be fulfilled, then whoever rang the bell gets a number of points equal to what round it is. Otherwise, if it is wrong, the last player to place a card gets a number of points equal to the round it is. You play a maximum of 7 rounds. Once someone has 7 points, the game is over.
Okay.
So for instance, in the 3-player game we were playing, the first person got 2. The first 2 rounds went to the same person. So they got 1 point and then 2 points for a total of 3. Then the next person got 3, and then the third person got the 4. So then with the next one being 5, whoever lost that round would be the loser. And this is a game where everybody wins except for the loser.
Gotcha.
It was kind of fun. The guy who taught us clearly had played a lot and had like
Advanced strategies.
advanced strats that worked pretty well for him. But it was interesting enough. It was, like I said, kind of a competitive Hanabi-esque vibe, being able to see what everybody else has out there. And make assumptions based on that.
Would you seek this one out again, or would you seek it out? Would you play it if asked, or would you not play it again?
I would play it if asked.
Okay.
I'm not going to seek it out. I don't have it. It wasn't good enough for me to like want to run out and buy it.
Doesn't seem like the worst Oinka game.
No, and it was good for what it was. A nice little warm up intro game while we were waiting for people to show up to game night.
Sure.
Plays 2 to 7 players.
Yep.
How long was it? 20 minutes?
If that.
Okay.
It was really quick.
How many did you play with?
We played with 3.
Okay. It seems like
more is better.
5 to 7 is
Yeah.
the
So I would also
best.
certainly give it another shot at more. I feel like with 7, it'd be really interesting because then you have a much larger idea of what the pool is aside from your little. So I think you'd get longer build outs.
Mm-hmm.
not a lot of votes, but it seems like 2 is kind of leaning towards not recommended.
I don't
But
know
three-
how you
three
played
up.
it too.
3 up seems fine.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some special 2-player rules.
There
a lot
probably-
like Scout had special 2-player rules.
That sounds probably accurate.
Yes.
After that, we had 2 other relatively new people show up. So the 5 of us now played On Tour, which is a flip and fill / roll and write.
From All Play,
Yes, from All Play.
X,
Board Game Tables.
BoardGameTables.com.
Yep.
Yeah. So I had not previously played this game. I think somebody here had maybe talked about it previously on.
I think Zach.
this
I think Zach owns it.
No, I thought about getting it again, but I played it at one of the conventions and was like, I can see this being interesting, but it had a lot of roll and writes, and I'm glad I didn't get it now because I definitely wouldn't be playing it.
Yeah.
But
so the gist of it, for those of you who don't know or don't remember, is essentially you are all booking a tour, like a rock band tour, across the U.S. So they have roughly every state. There's a couple regions that are grouped together. There's like a mid-Atlantic region and then like the Northeast, and there's no Alaska and Hawaii. But you flip 3 cards, and the cards are regions, and then each region, like, it will give a specific city that is in that region. So like the Southeast region, it might say the South, and it'll give like, and in this, it's the geographic South, not like the regional South. So like they would include like Southern California in the South. But, and so it might say like Arizona and then have the South. And so you then you flip 3 cards like that, and then you roll these 2 big dice, and they are 10-sided dice. And so you get a number, say, 72. And so on your board, you write 2 numbers. You write 72, and then you write like 27. Like you write
both sides of it, yeah.
each number. If you write it in one of the regions and the state listed on that region, you get to circle it, and that becomes like a super stop. Otherwise, you just write it in one of the circles. You do this until your entire board is full, roughly 40 odd spots. And then you start with your lowest and you draw the longest single contiguous line that you can while increasing in value. And like the different cities have different connections, so you can only connect certain ways.
And you can't fork out. It's just one.
It's one single continuous line.
It's not double?
It's not.
You sure?
I'm positive. I now know. So yeah, the teach was a little rough, and like the way he explained some of the mechanics made it seem like it was one of those where like you scored points for each line. You know, like, so I thought it was like the longer a line got, the more points each additional stop was, so that there was some value in having like 2 or 3. And then about midway through the game, somebody asked a question that related to that. And he was like, oh, no, it's just whatever your one longest is. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to win. I was building.
Was it the base game or did it have, like, was it America? It was, I figured as much as
just the base game. And we played on the America side of the map. So the version he had, like, the
is it America and Europe?
Whiteboards are double-sided, and it was America and Europe. We played on the America side because this is America.
And we drive in America.
We do.
Does it have a bunch of trains on the Europe side?
Probably. Europeans and their trains.
Yeah. And their working rail systems.
Yeah. Germany offering a like $30 monthly unlimited public transit pass thing. How dare they? Affordable public transit.
Yeah.
Nerve.
We're just here with our 1,000+ derailments a year.
We're not a third world country, Zach.
No.
I promise. Anyway.
Don't let the data fool you.
Do your own derailment research.
Anyway, it was fine. You know, it's a pretty basic flip and fill / roll and ride. It's like a little bit of both.
I would say it's flip and fill, but with rolling versus a roll. I mean, I don't know. It's yeah.
Well, because you don't have to. You can put the fucking circles. I think you do still have to go in the regions. Maybe you just get the bonus if it's in the state. I don't know. It was fine.
I think that's I came away like I would play it, but after doing that, I was like, I don't think I need to own this one.
After that, I spent some time walking around, saying hi to new people, selling some raffle tickets, making fun of Paul and Ryan and whoever else was involved in the giant fucking game of Great Wall that, you know, I'd go back there and I'd be like, how's it going? They're like, we're on round 2.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you've been here 2 hours, sir. Didn't know we were playing Twilight Struggle fucking crazy long one. Not Struggle. Twilight Imperium. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't know. They seem to like that game. They want to play more of it. So. You were.
I was one of those people. Yes.
Oh yeah. So that's I got one other game to talk about, but then I'll kick it over to you to talk about that. And yeah, so that was game night. I played some Werewords at the end, but that we've talked a lot about Werewords recently. So
great game.
Outside of game night, I went and met up with my buddy. We were supposed to do some D&D, and then unfortunately the people who host, one of them got a head cold because there's head colds going around. And so we bailed on D&D, and I was like, hey, you know, we're both free now. Do you want to play one of your heavier games? Because he's been really into some heavier stuff lately. And so we played some Weather Machine, one of the newer games from Vital Lacerda.
I feel like that's his newest one, isn't it?
It might. I think it is.
Came out last year, so.
Yeah. So in Weather Machine, you are all basically assistants to this mad scientist.
There was an On Mars expansion, and then I don't know if Bot Factory is out. It seems like it is out, which is a re-implementation of Kanban EV.
What?
Yeah.
They already have?
It doesn't have an official link, so I feel like it's not out.
Interesting. I don't know why he keeps going back to that.
Oh, it's very small.
Oh, so it's like I think it like takes one of the main.
Oh wait, no,
maybe not that small.
No, that one's not small. What was he holding then? I don't know.
No.
Anyway, neither here nor there. In Weather Machine, you are all like assistants to this crazy mad scientist.
a different thing.
Perspective
He's
happening.
holding something in front of the box, and it made it look like he was just holding like the side of the box, and the box was like this big.
Oh, okay.
Anyways,
Go
weather
ahead.
machine.
Assistance to mad scientists trying to control the weather. The board is in classic Vital Lacerda fashion, divided into 4 regions, each region having one of 2 actions you can do there. The first region is there's like a supply region where you go to get more supplies like chemicals and machine parts to build your weather machine.
Get more weather.
Yeah. Then there is the government section where like the government is also trying to control the weather, and so you could invest in different parts of that, and then they'll help with weather events. Then the other section is where you're actually building your weather machines and trying to control the weather. And there you're playing a little game of trying to get some parts and things in position at the same time that one of the weather events is happening, so that you can run your machine against that weather event and then make it work. And then the last area is like the weather. And over there, like as people run the weather machines, the weather gets worse. Like they're actually like not doing a good job. So then you have to go do research, and you publish research and all this stuff. In kind of classic Vital Lacerda fashion, it is a lot of different little...
It looks like an absurd amount of stuff.
For being only 8 actions, it is a lot. Lots and lots of iconography, but once you kind of learn it, it all makes sense and is fairly easy to parse.
It's most of...
How many
There's like a
turns is
whole
it?
board that has like little locks on it that I assume just unlocks as you play.
Yeah.
They're like little lock meeples.
Yeah, so that's like whether like someone has researched that weather type, and then
I
like
see.
once it has been researched, other people can either like do their own research or cite someone else's research.
Uh-huh.
Do your own research.
You gotta do. You
gotta
gotta
do your own
always doing
research.
your own research. Yeah.
And basically you're trying to get like the 3 different there's like 3 different stages of like a given type of weather that you get from like the 3 different areas. And you're trying to get all 3 of those so that you can like full on like publish a paper or something, and that like gets you a bunch of points.
Gotcha.
It felt like it had I think that it had a lot going on relative to like what it offered, if that makes sense. Like one of the things I like about Gallerist is like the core gameplay loop of Gallerist is really straightforward and really easy to understand. Like it's something I can really like just pitch to someone. Like, hey, you're doing these 8 actions. Here's how they all interrelate, and it makes like intuitive sense. Nothing about this game made intuitive sense. It almost had a Splotter-esque quality where like I kind of fucked myself on my second turn, and I never really came back from it. I got last. Casey, who had played before, he was teaching it to me and another one of his friends. He dominated. So it's definitely a game where like knowing how to play and knowing like, oh yeah, don't go do this on the second turn because it won't work. That's beneficial knowledge to have. That being said, it did have some cool aspects of like when you'd go to a space to do an action, you could spend extra resources to do like both of the actions at the spot. And sometimes that was very powerful and could be used to do some cool combos that felt neat. I, despite doing poorly and making like a really big error on turn 2, like still was just barely in last place. Like I almost got second. It was
Gotcha.
like Casey was way out down the score track, and then me and his friend Kyle were like, we were playing our own game that I still lost. So it was fine. I'd play it again. I think I am okay with the fact that I did not back this one up. Beautiful components, great artwork, like all of that was fantastic.
What's the pink hazard? It's like a half shell with like stuff flying out of it, like an explosive hazard, or
yeah, there are different types of chemicals.
it's like radioactive, fire, biological. There's like a skull and crossbones,
Probably
Poison.
like poison. Yeah.
but I don't know what the pink one is.
I think it's explosive.
explosive.
Yeah,
Explosive weather issues, or is this actually in the crafting of
that's
the
in the
weather machine?
crafting of the weather
Okay.
machine.
It could explode at any moment.
Yeah, so the weather types, there's like wind, rain, snow, fog, and I think one more.
Heart.
Yes. Love. The weather of love.
And then Captain Planet turns you all into
trees.
trees.
Yep.
Fucking pollen. That's what it is. Pollen season. Yeah, it was fine. I'd play it again, but kind of not, like I said, not sad that I don't have that one on my shelf. There you go. That's what and then I played JIME. That's the other thing. I played some JIME. Megan and I played some JIME. We'd been playing through the first digital expansion, the Wargy one.
The DLC
Yeah,
expansion.
it's like search for some kind of flower or something is like the title of it, but you're fighting wargs. And we got to a point where it was like, hey, this mission, if you fail this mission, the campaign is over. And boy, did we fucking fail that mission.
Sounds like you shouldn't have.
Legolas let us down at the worst possible moment.
Did you fail? You failed because he died, right?
Yes, Legolas died from both kinds of trauma, damage and fear. He had fallen behind somewhat intentionally because like I had some bonuses to like not being adjacent to other heroes, and Legolas has been a fucking powerhouse murder machine.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And I had like 3 of the worst draws that I've ever had in that game off his deck, like back to back to back, and so I failed to kill the like big pack of like goblin scouts and the big pack of wargs that were like chasing us. And so then both of them were like, nearest hero, oh, it's Legolas. Hey, Legolas, you're going to get hit by this like elite level trio of wargs and goodbye. And so then, yeah. And then it was one of those, it was the first last stand or whatever they call it.
And but was it your worst trait?
And no, it was my good trait. And I flipped 4 times and got no successes. And
this really seems like it's your fault if you kept getting those bad draws. I don't 4 in a row. That seems pretty.
Yep.
That seems pretty much on you.
No. And it was also frustrating because Megan was playing the Bilbo and Gandalf and had like fucking 20 of the little tokens to turn things into successes.
Hopefully not literally 20.
Hers were maxed out.
Yeah.
Like both characters
All
were
right,
maxed out.
Inspiration.
Yeah.
Inspiration, yeah.
Yeah.
Bilbo could have like 6 and Gandalf could have like 5, so it felt like 20.
And Gandalf gets a bunch for free.
Yeah, because I was playing Deese, who could have 3, and Legolas could have 5, but he had none. And so
that sounds, once again, it's you walked yourself into that death corner.
You're right. It was all my fault. So we lost, so that campaign ended. I was bitter and angry and vented on Slack. And then we promptly set up and started a new game with all new characters. So I'm playing the Rohan lady, horse girl. And
So you got the Spreading War?
Yeah, I've got all the expansions now.
Nice.
I went
Did you
and bought
get the
everything.
small ones too?
Yes.
All right. Did you go to Black and Red or did you
I went to Black and Red.
All right, cool.
But yeah, so we got everything. So I'm playing her, and I'm playing Balin, the other dwarf. So I'll now have been a dwarf in all 3 of the sessions that we've done. And then Megan is playing Eowyn and
Arwen.
And I don't remember who her other character is. Oh, Boromir.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes.
Boromir, pretty good.
Seems not bad.
You should have been him instead of Legolas when you're doing that last stand.
Maybe he could take an arrow to the chest.
Yeah.
Well, he can auto pass.
Yeah.
He gets 1 auto success on any last stand, so his first one is free.
Yeah. Well, because isn't it like you have to still take like additional like a fear or damage card? Like somebody's had something like that. Like you could get a success, but you had to take a fear or damage card.
Oh, no. His is just you get an auto success on your first.
Gotcha.
Or no, you get a success automatically on any last stand.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which I never used because I never had to take a last stand.
Must be nice.
Yeah, sure was.
Yeah. So we started again, got through the first mission, and then haven't had a chance to play since because I've been on night shifts. So that's it for me for games. Zach, how about you?
I've got 2 that I played. The first one was at a Tuesday game night. Lance and I were there. There are some people playing Quacks of Quedlinburg, but they already had the 5 people that it can take. And so Lance and I were trying to figure out what to do. One of the things I suggested was Pandemic Iberia. And he was like, well, I've never actually played that at 2 players. And I think the only time I've played it is at 2 players is still like 2-handed. And so we decided to just do.
I think we did that.
Yeah. So we just did 2-player on that. And that was rough just playing as 2 players on that game can be.
I always thought it was easier with the less players.
I thought it was too, but just we were playing with hospitals and malaria.
Okay.
One of the historical diseases.
One of the non-fiction diseases.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is that maybe it's not necessarily that it's harder, is that you can never do what you want because it's just like
triage.
Yeah, it's just triage, and it's always just like I just want to use these cards because you keep getting more cards than you can like necessarily plan for.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to get rid of cards, or either from using them or discarding them, and not wanting that to fuck you over later. And we made the mistake of building a hospital on early.
Okay.
And so as soon as you build it, at the end of each round, a patient moves towards the hospital. And so the 2 characters we had were the nurse, which has basically a prevention area anywhere around them.
Yeah.
In one of the regions around them. And then the rail car guy
gets extra track.
Yeah, gets extra
placement.
track. Yeah, so we can. So Lance was able to build our route out quickly, and I was able to at least block some of the spots. It doesn't help when the historical disease you have is the color that is out most frequently.
Mm.
So this one is if there's ever 0.
It gets 2.
It gets 2 instead of 1.
Yeah.
And so it's always just like, well, just leave 1 there because it's just going to add 2, but then it's just like leaving 1 is like, all right, well, every 3 round, like they're all very adjacent to each other, and so it just kept piling on top of piling on top. So we ended up having, I think, 3 or 4 of our outbreaks just from the hospital.
Oof.
Just because we're like, we had to deal with these things, and then that one just popped, and we're like, fuck. But we did at the end. We were able to. It was nice that we were able to get our colored cards to each other. Like we each started with like 3 of a color, and so we were able to get those 2 researched fairly quickly. I think it was red and black, and then yellow and blue. The cards slowly came out, but at the end, it was Lance had he had 4 cards, and we had drawn because we put random events in there, and one of the events we had, the last one we drew, were like just get 1 or 2 cards from somebody, like trade them, and it was like, all right, well, Lance, this is your last turn. You have to be the one that does this. So if me drawing, I don't get a blue card, we lose. And we were able to, and I got 1. So we were able to trade it and we won. So it was close. Maybe it felt tense most of the time, but it's still a lot of fun. Love that game.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep. And then on Wednesday night, we decided to play Great Wall, like you had mentioned earlier. This is, I think, Awaken Realms.
Yes.
So that's the guys that did This War of Mine and the Camelot game. I can't remember what it's called. Ruins.
Tainted Grail.
Tainted Grail. Thank you. Which I still need to play.
Well, you own them.
I do. But Ryan brought out his tricked out copy. He got the minis. He had the Sundrop wash on them.
Did you not go for the full shebang?
No, I didn't want to spend $350 or how much it was for the entire game. I think I got the like mini expansion, and I ended up just going with the meeples, which I felt looked good.
I'm usually a fan of meeples over minis anyways.
I mean, these minis do look very good, but you have to pay for them. So, so this is a worker placement game. It's like people describe it as semi-cooperative, but I feel like you can't really be semi-cooperative without there being like a fail state of like if something happens, everybody loses. And here the game's over but then you just determine who a winner is. Because I feel like with like most semi-co-ops, in my mind at least, there's a chance that everybody loses.
Yeah.
But this one is just the game's over if the Mongols overrun the castle that you're on. But so it has two sections to this board. There is the worker placement side. So you have the different, you can like train new warriors. You can change your order because it has it's called like the Tea Party or whatever, but it's basically the turn order. It has 4 little it's all, I know it's weird. It's about building walls, so we're really trying to keep the
really got to have a Tea Party representation when you're building a wall like
exactly.
that. Makes sense.
Yeah, make the Mongols pay for it.
Yes.
But so the turn order also like that's also a tiebreaker for everything. So in terms of like who's going first, also even if it comes down to if you have the same score at the end of the game, whoever is higher up on that wins. But the main interesting parts of the worker placements is that you have cards that you play at the beginning of each round, and those cards like say the things that you do, which is usually put some dudes out to various, it has various amounts on there. It ties to other cards people are playing. So if you're like, I did Raising Banner, but then I play the thing, I play my let's say three guys out, and it'll be like, you get to place an additional one for every like economy that's out there. So you're trying to sort of guess whether other people are playing to an extent, because you have 6 cards you start with your hand, and you play 5 cards throughout the end of the game, or through the entirety of the game, at least at 4 players. And so on your you play that card, the main person places their workers out, and then everybody else in turn order, then will place, it usually says like 2 out, so everybody can put 2 of their workers out. So yeah.
So you said T order, and then you clarified turn order, and I was like, why did you just say the letter T for turn order? That's a weird way to say that. And then I remembered the tea ceremony.
I like to abbreviate.
And that year.
Yeah. No, that's what it's a tea ceremony. It's turn ceremony. But then each person gets to put usually 2 workers out, and then you resolve the rest of the card, and then you check to see for any spots that activate. So, because each of the worker placement spots, they're either they either have red spots, which have like a finite amount of spaces, so say like 5, and once 5 workers go on that spot, then it activates. Okay. So if there's only 4 on there, those workers just stay there. But the other spots are green spots. Those, if there's at least 1 worker on there, they're going to activate. So those are ones that activate every time someone's on it. Other ones, they only activate when enough workers go on that spot to fill it up. And the reason that matters is your worker, for the production spots, which is how you get your wood, you get your gold, you get stone and chi. You can, for each one of your workers on those spots, you get that much of those resources. So if I put if I put 4, of the 5 spaces, 4 of them are filled mine, I'm going to get 4 like wood out of it versus just the 1 that say you get.
Okay.
But it does have a thing that if you fill up the entire row just on yourself, if you're like, I'm getting this and nobody else does, then you get a shame token, which is worth like -5 points at the end of the game.
Shame.
Yeah. And one of the green spots that activate every turn also has a shame marker on it. That's for hiring new workers or new soldiers at the barracks. That one also has a shame if you're the only person goes. So that it has a little bit of thing of like trying to be like, well, I'm going to go here. Like if anybody else is going to go here, I'm going to go here. I would like to go here also, but because each person places it in turn order, you could, it's not binding or anything like that. But you place through you play the worker spots, you get the resources and things like that, and that's you're going to be able to go on the other side, which is the wall side, and that's also where the invaders are coming in. When you create horses or swordsmen, you can put them and you create them and you can have them attack. You can put them on the actual cards themselves. There's cards that come out. There's 3 different spots or 3 different rows. And like the first row can be filled up with just the swordsman, but farther along you can actually do the horsemen because they can go farther into the space. I'm doing a bad job of explaining that. But anyway, they have spots that you can put warriors on that gets you either resources or points. And then once that card is completely filled up, then it's defeated.
What are the little red gem things?
archers who are shooting from the wall, they just do direct damage to it. They affect it, but you don't get whatever the bonus is on it.
But they fill
the spots. And if you ever have more, the strength of the Mongol cards are higher than the strength of your wall, or the the strength of your wall and barricades, then they overrun it and you take shame, and it's bad.
And the wall can get built up to at least 3 tiers.
Correct.
Looks like?
Yeah, it costs like 10. It's like 5 resources, 10 resources, and then 15 resources to build all that. And you get more points for building those things. And each of the walls, as you get higher up, have more spaces for archers, so it becomes easier to defend.
It's like 12, 16. I don't know what that.
It's
Maybe
8.
Is that the little?
That's
strength. The fortification. Okay.
Yeah. So it goes 8. It goes 8, 12, and then 16.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But
so the smaller it gets, the more archers it can fit.
Exactly, and the more powerful it is because it's taller.
Yes.
But the main, I'm not going to say annoying thing on this, but the main gimmick on this one, not the main gimmick, is that everybody has a general that has a unique power on it, and then you can get advisors. Then each of them have unique powers, so you can get stuff that combos very, very well. And Paul ended up trouncing us in this game.
It's Paul's new favorite game.
Yes, it is. Because he had a combo that worked so well together that it was just every time he attacked at all, he got 18 or 20 points from it.
Wow.
And
is this going to be like Scythe where certain combinations get banned?
I don't know. I know at least for me, we realized about halfway through that I was really fucking playing to my strengths badly, because my whole thing was about building, when I built horsemen, I get to do it at a big discount, and then I got a bunch of extra shit by doing that. But we didn't realize when you destroy the horde cards, you have to destroy a certain amount of soldiers on the board or on the card. And you can save some of them if you want. If you save them, they go into the rest area. But then you have to play an attack card, or someone has to play an attack card in order for them to get out of the rest area. Nobody played an attack card.
Oh.
So there's 5 rounds in this game, right? The first 4 rounds, in each round, everybody plays 1 card. And you usually get to do stuff on other people's cards. So it's, even though it is 5 rounds, it's really 20. There's only one of those. 4 of those, or 5 of them, you're the main person in it, because when you're dealing with your card, but you still get to do other shit on other people's turns. But for rounds 2 through 4, every single person was someone else is going to play attack card, because that's the smart thing to do right now. So I'm going to take advantage of it by not playing attack card and still get to do their stuff. Nobody played attack card. Nobody.
So everyone made it so Paul wins then?
Paul ended up winning, at the end.
Okay.
At the final round, everybody, there were only 2 cards left to play. Only one person still played an attack card.
Great.
Yeah. To be fair, everybody else had either an attack card or the betrayal card, and the betrayal card just lets you copy another card, or just it basically just lets you copy another card. And then Paul was the one that played the attack card. Had he played his other card in his hand, there would have been no actual attacks the entire fucking game.
Wow.
Yeah. And like I said, my whole thing was about, now I realize I need those horses to die so that I can build them again and get all the all the benefits from building them.
Oh, okay.
So I gave up in the last round. Especially once we saw the full scope of Paul's bullshitness, I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to not do anything these last couple rounds because it doesn't matter, and that'll just make the game end quicker. But I still like the game. Now I realized how much of a critical error I did in that. So
seems long.
Not making critical errors is critical.
It's not, honestly, it's not. It took about 4 hours for us to learn the game. Their rule books are fucking shitty, man. They are not designed. They're designed as reference, not designed for let's teach you the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know how Fantasy Flight has, here's the learn to play and here's the rules reference. They're just here's just the rules reference. Good luck. And you're like, fuck. and there's definitely some convoluted stuff into it. But I would say second play, 2.5 hours easily. Now that we all know how to play and figure out what to do. But Paul, we all did like it. It just at the end we realized all the mistakes we were made, and yeah, so that's what I got.
Okay. Well, that's it for what we've been playing.
Correct.
And so now we can banter. I don't have much in the way of banter because I've been working nights.
Which means we're at least 20, 25 minutes of Adrian banter then? Is that usually his...
Yes.
Not much. 20 minutes later.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't think everything. I don't know. I'm sure I'll think of things.
Okay. All right. So moving on. Zach, anything?
Yeah. I got my PSVR 2.
Oh, yeah, you did.
So I've been playing with that. I got the bundle that had Horizon Call of the Mountain.
The climbing simulator.
70% climbing, 30% shooting with a bow. It's a lot of fun. The story, I think, is probably going to round up being like 7 or 8 hours, maybe.
Okay.
But it is a lot of climbing. I'll fucking tell you that. You're like, oh yeah. You're like, hey, look, I don't see how you did this. Just like, there's definitely, I had to climb a tall neck at one point that I was just like, oh God, this is fucking annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, I said it was annoying, but like in a good way.
Sure.
Like, because it's very fun, but it was still just like, oh, my shoulders fucking, I should have stopped 20 minutes ago, but I can't, and now my arms fucking are exhausted.
There's like legendary climbs and stuff.
Yeah. Well, and it has like pickaxe sections in it too. And if you don't hit it hard enough, the pickaxe doesn't like go into the ice or the stone or any of that stuff. So that's fun, but then you like miss it and you're like, fucking get the fuck in there. And some of the ice pieces are like you go to hit it and then just the ice just falls down and you're like, oh fuck, now I gotta go the long way. And
Great.
Yeah. But no, it's the shooting on it's good. The one thing that's
bow and arrowing.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yep. You also get the lob. What is it? It's like you basically like throwing a grenade.
Slingshot.
Yeah, the
thing.
slingshot. You have like a grenade sort of thing. Elemental stuff still works like normal in that, you can freeze them, you can electrocute them, knock things off to make, to knock off the armor. Tear. Yeah. The only annoying thing is that this is magnetic. So there we go.
Now we know.
Now you know. Is that the game? So the the PSVR 2 can do 90 or 120 frames per second, but this one is fairly intensive graphically, like at least for the PSVR 2,
which is connected to a PS5.
Yes. And so I think what it does is it produces it at like 60 FPS, but then it has like double frames to like make it. I forget what that's called.
Interpolation?
Yeah, something like that. But so it looks really good, except for certain spots when things are moving, and it looks sort of like a little bit of a ghostly image when it's moving across.
A lot of ghosting.
It's not too bad. On there's you definitely see it in
a lot of dating apps.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. But it's fun. It even has like this little I think they call it like safari thing where it's, Pokemon Go-esque. You just sort of sit in a boat and then you watch
things happen.
Things do stuff. So you can just be like, hey, come check this out real quick. So Thunderjaws are fucking big and not scary, but there's one point where you're just swinging across the thing, and all of a sudden because the Thunderjaw has been like stalking you that entire level. It like busts through the side of this rubble and then gets like 3 feet from chomping you while you're in the middle of swinging, and you're like, oh, holy shit. So that was fun. But I am enjoying that thing a lot. So
I've been debating getting a PSVR 2 to complement our Index so that we can both play VR at the same time.
Nice.
But not together.
Some games I'm sure eventually, maybe not.
There's
Xbox games that have crossplay with PC. PlayStation could do that too someday.
No, PlayStation's not going to do that.
PlayStation has probably the least actual crossplay
Yeah.
between other stuff.
Yes.
This is accurate.
It works really well with glasses, I'll say. I've been playing it with glasses. And
it has that like individual eye tracking thing on
Yes,
there.
it has eye tracking, which is very cool.
So you can just like look at your settings.
Yeah,
and
I've just
not
been
have
looking at the
to,
menus
like,
and it's just usually, yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure it can be used for actual gameplay stuff, but just at the very least, just being like, because the main reason it has that is because it has foliated rendering, so it knows where your eyes are looking, and so it gives more power to that spot, and then it makes it like less rendered, at the on the corner of your eyes.
It sharpens the focus
Yes.
that you're actually looking at.
There you go, to help with
Frame rate.
frame
whatever.
rate, running,
Yeah.
load rate and stuff like that, yeah.
Have you noticed any difference in, because you on your first VR, your Quest, there were some games that would make you a little nauseous-y. Is this any better or different?
I
with
mean,
that?
at this point, I haven't noticed that. Like this one only has a lot of accessibility stuff in it, but it's still, as far as I can tell, at least in the sections when you're moving from one spot to another, like between climbing sections, at least, it's still stick movement of you like moving forward. But like during the actual combat, when you're trying to kill the machines, it's just like it has different spots that you can stick a little bit, but you can also just like shift to the left and it'll like move you 10 feet. So you can like dash in between spots without actually having to be like trying, let me actually move around a bit.
Teleporting.
So, it's basically.
Okay.
So.
Seems loud. Neat.
Cool.
Did you guys ever see the movie RRR?
No.
Yes.
So I watched it again at Alamo yesterday.
Oh.
They had a
It's like long, right?
It
over
is
3 hours long.
Okay.
Very long.
Yeah. That's why I was like, I'm not gonna bother inviting you, Jeff, because that's when I had messaged you when you
Mhm.
got home. That's when I went to go watch the movie. So. But the main reason I was watching it is that, like, one, I haven't seen it in theater, so I wanted to see in that setting, which was very good. But two, it was actually in Telugu, because that's the original language. But Netflix only has Hindu.
Yeah.
And so when you're watching it, you can tell that it's dubbed. And so that always annoys me, even when it's, like watching anime and stuff like that. So the chance to actually watch it without it being dubbed was it was good. And movie still kicks a lot of ass.
It is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it well enough.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's 11 out of 10 in ridiculousness in the first half. Because I ended up watching it with Shion, and
okay.
Because her and her fiance were watching. Like they started watching it, and I was like, "Well, how far did you get?" And she's like, started saying some, how far. And I was like, "Just to let you know, you didn't even." And she described about like the first 40 minutes of the movie. I was like, "You didn't even get to the title card yet." Just to let you know, is that it really starts about an hour in, which is very
Yeah.
And then we got to the barracks fight. And they were going like, what the? And I just like, she was like, oh my God, this is fucking crazy. And I just was like, just as an FYI, we're halfway through the movie. That's a lot of fun. Definitely watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on Netflix if you don't or can't watch it in theater.
Yes. This one, the one I saw was at 6:30 at night. Every other showing started at 9 or 9:30. And I was like, I don't want to be
No.
in the theater until 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm good.
No,
I'm good
yeah,
on that.
pass.
So
On a Sunday?
no, those would have been Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday nights.
Pass.
Yeah. No, this was the only one that was at a quote unquote reasonable time, and we still didn't get out till 10. So
Pass.
yeah. Also, the problem with a long movie is that I spent way too much money.
RRR, Boyd.
And that's the letter.
Yes,
R.
like the letter, like three.
It's not a
letter
pirate
Rs.
movie. It's not a pirate movie.
R.
Yeah.
It's like resist, revolt.
I don't
Something
rise,
rise,
resist, revolt. Yeah. It takes place in pre-independent India.
Yeah.
And
A lot of evil white dudes.
oh yeah, a lot of very evil, badly acted white people. All right, well that's all I got.
Jerf?
I bought a new computer.
Cool.
Yeah.
Did you build it or buy it pre-built?
Build. Bought a new video card, new SSD, power supply, new case, new mouse. Mostly because my last mouse died. The left click was dying on it, and I was just like, or no, it was the right click was dying on it. It's very annoying, super annoying.
Did you reuse any components, or did you
motherboard, processor, RAM, hard drives, keyboard?
So you upgraded
monitors.
your
yeah.
old
I mean,
computer.
I had halfway upgraded a couple years ago when I really wanted to upgrade the video card and couldn't find one. So then I ended up upgrading the motherboard and processor, and then carried on from there. And then I went and got myself a NVIDIA 4080, which is colossal. Needed a new case.
You're a quarter of an inch too big?
I'm not less than a quarter of an inch could not fit into my old case.
Bummer.
It was so the SSD bays on my old case sat on top of where like the like disk drives were, and it was basically that thin of a spot is how much it could not fit into my old case. So I bought a new case. I bought like some like.
Is it a lot bigger of a case?
It is way fucking bigger. It is way too big, but it is the size that they were like, this will fit, and I was like, okay. It is a good amount of space for like cable management and stuff in there.
So much room for activities.
My cable management looks great in there. It can do a bunch of fucking crazy LED, but I have to get like a breakout box to put in there to like control all the LEDs and stuff on the back of the motherboard if I wanted that.
I need to go back into my most recent build and like redo the LEDs, because like playing down in like the basement area where I have it set up, the things like LEDs on the front fans are fucking blinding. It is borderline unpleasant.
So yeah, I got the good video card, and boy, is it
good.
A lot.
Yeah,
it is a colossal upgrade.
You said you're going basically from a 1060,
an AMD equivalent of between a 1060 and a 1070 to a 4080. So I've jumped 3 generations.
Goddamn.
Yeah. I wanted last generation, but they wouldn't let me give them money. So I spent a lot more money because they're just more expensive now.
Sounds like that worked out for them.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, that's just MSRP. Well, you know what? I bought it for MSRP, so I can't really complain.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
I did not buy my last gen for MSRP.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It wasn't super marked up, but it was definitely a little marked up.
It's a lot better now, that's for sure. Yeah, so World of Warcraft runs real nice. I did hook up my VR headset to it before I traveled for 9 days and played a little bit of what did I play? No Man's Sky VR in there. I just don't have like the space to get the full shebang of the No Man's Sky VR, which I did not realize that they also just released like a huge VR update to that game too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I need to go give it a shot again.
Yeah.
The space combat in No Man's Sky is really satisfying.
Yeah, it has
VR.
like actual, like you have to put your hand somewhere specific to actually do the throttle.
Yeah,
and
so you have like one joystick hand and one throttle hand. And I really dug it.
Yeah.
I was looking at like very expensive VR, like walking, like the movement things.
Yeah.
I don't know what to call them.
Yeah,
the treadmills sort of
things.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them. They look real cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they are expensive.
They make
I mean, roughly the same cost as my VR set.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's call it about $1,000.
Little over.
They make like force feedback things too.
Yeah, suits. There was it was that like shooter for like the PS1 Res is what, and then they made like a Res suit that you could play it in VR, and then the suit like connected to the game's like music and stuff. So you were like fucking vibing through the whole thing. But it was like this crazy big silver suit. There's some good pictures online of like press and stuff playing it, because I think that's all that the suit was ever released for.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I've went back home and cleaned out the old house and got a bunch of stuff that I have set off to the side, like a bunch of old D&D books that are worth apparently $100.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah. I sold off my 10 long boxes of comic books for nothing.
That also tracks.
My CJ, who makes the music for the show, he took them over to a local comic book shop for me, and they were like, well, I'll offer you lunch for like 800 comic books or something like that. They were like, yeah, it's mostly dollar issues. And I was like, whatever. Just fucking get rid of them. I haven't touched them in over a decade. So,
Right.
yeah, I claimed a little bit here or there, mostly just stuff to sell. Some old PC games, like CD cases,
Yeah.
of stuff like that, like my old copies of like StarCraft and Doom and things like that I didn't want to get rid of yet.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hmm.
Cool.
Sounds
I
it.
think that's going to be it for Banter then.
I ate a lot of Portillo's and Luminati's. It was great.
Both sound nice.
It was. And then I just flew back yesterday,
Cool.
about 26 hours ago.
Yeah. Boyd did mention in chat, I had forgotten, I did officially pick up the suit for the wedding, the upcoming wedding. About 2 weeks left for that. 3 weeks. 3 weeks till the wedding. Yeah, so I got my suit. It's nice. I like it. I'm happy with it. F1 season started. So
Yeah,
I knew
I did.
Jeff was coming back because you were like, oh, I watched it on the flight. And I was like, oh, the flight.
I did
huh?
not watch it on the flight.
Or
I watched
like
it before that
yes.
day. Yeah.
You mentioned it in conjunction with a flight.
Yes. The Formula One season has begun. I did watch it. It was kind of a snoozer. It was the first race of the season. Red Bull picked up right where they fucking left off, dominating. They got a 1-2 qualifying and finish. Ferrari had a DNF. So these are hybrid engines. There's a battery and a V6 turbo. They replaced, so they get 2 batteries or for the per car for the season. Before even the first race, Ferrari replaced the battery, and then the battery died in that race.
What the fuck?
Which means if they have to take another, they're already going to be taking grid penalties for taking over a certain amount of parts for the season. Which means it's possible for this guy to be taking a 10-place grid penalty in the second race of the season for parts, which is fucking sane because his entire last season was ruined by Ferrari DNFs. That's the only reason he wasn't in line for the championship. It's Charles Leclerc. But because he did DNF'd, Fernando Alonso, the fucking oldest dude on the grid at 41 years old, got 3rd fucking place with Aston Martin, who I think was 9th last year, maybe 8th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Good for him.
Apparently there's some hot shit this year. So they have either the 2nd or 3rd best car on the grid right now. So they're going to be competing with some of the top players this season, and out of nowhere. So that's fun.
Cool.
Yeah. And everyone else kind of just drove around. Oh, McLaren. Oh my God. Like I feel so bad for them. So Daniel Ricciardo, is the Australian guy, he left McLaren to go to be Red Bull's reserve driver. And boy, did he fucking hit that eject button at the right time. Because if he was there this season, oh my God. Like one of them DNF'd, the other had to pit 6 times because there's some sort of air system on there that had a leak, and they just kept fucking pitting him over and over and over and letting him just like race. Like he finished like well over a minute behind in last place.
Jeez.
He did finish, but like it wasn't it. I could only assume they're like, you're going to be in last place. Just do the race so we get data on shit. Like, I guess like, holy fuck.
Does Hamilton still drive for McLaren?
Hamilton drives for Mercedes.
Okay.
Yes. And it looks like they're not too hot this year either, because they were bad last year. They got 3rd. And it's basically been his first season in like 8 years where he was not like in competition or did not win any race.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Too busy buying
the
parts
team
of the
got
Broncos.
a win. He got 2nd place, but he did not personally win.
Gotcha.
They had one race that was a 1-2.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he's part of the Broncos ownership now.
Correct. Yes.
I'm sure that'll turn him around.
Well, actually, that was, I don't know. I was joking that was why he didn't win any last year. He's too busy buying the Broncos.
He's got
Part
enough
of the Broncos.
He's got enough stuff that he owns already. I think legendarily he had some like $40+ million loft in Manhattan that he had literally never been to, bought it and sold it without ever even visiting it.
Rich people shit, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets $40+ million a year, so
Must be nice.
yeah. I don't know if he's claiming that much this nowadays, but
I would like $40 million just once, let alone every year.
yeah. But that new Drive to Survive season's out there. I have not watched any of it yet. It released as I was heading out. So.
Yeah, I got into it for a few seasons and then fell off of it.
Mm.
Did not retain my interests.
Mm.
I
did get a call from the Wizard's Chest while I was in Chicago to tell me that my new Marvel Champions decks came in. I was like, I'm not going to be there within a week, so you can just go ahead and not put those on hold.
Which ones were they?
Gambit and Rogue.
Those are like the last of the mutant cycle. Or
I
something
think it
like
is
that.
the last of the mutant cycle, but I haven't heard anything about whatever the next one is.
I don't know.
So I don't know.
It's still been such a long time since I bought any.
Yeah, I need to buy those vertical dividers
from
that company Ryan really likes.
Yeah.
Well, shall we do some news in Kickstarter?
Sure.
Why not?
It's kind of like a Bloody Minute because there's like a Blood Bowl 3 video game. This came out for the PC, Blood Bowl 3. It had a disastrous beta. I had a beta code in the Blood Bowl 2020 Season 1 box set that I bought that got me a closed beta. So it's been out. That beta was waiting in the wings for about 3 years, and then it launched, and then they delayed it, and then it came out, and everyone's like, holy shit. So how Blood Bowl 2 basically released, it was like 8 teams of like the 24, I think maybe 25 that are out there now, and then you had to buy the rest DLC. So this one was basically continuing the same thing, and they're just going to be releasing the teams for who knows how much money. But on top of that, they have like a ton of like microtransactions, like 75 cents for like different heads for your players. And when it first came out, you bought that single head, which means you could only have one of those different heads on your team. You couldn't mix and match any of them. So if you had a team of 16, you would have to buy 16 copies of this head to have like it on 16 different players. They have since reverted that to where you do just have full access to that purchase across your whole team, which is nice, except for the very ultra fancy legendary cosmetics, which you can still only have one per purchase. Like replays aren't in the game. Like there's just so many like base things that were in the previous one that they just didn't put into this one, and they have like a roadmap that they're going to be adding all of these things into. It's like, it seems like, hey, we're going to strip this whole game down and re-release it and then just kind of piecemeal it out. It was clearly not ready in any way, shape, or form.
But money.
Yeah. It's a bummer. I mean, this new edition of Blood Bowl has basically killed the entire Denver Blood Bowl league
scene, yeah.
entirely. I mean, there's still people playing, but it's mostly ran out of the Colorado Springs folks at this point, I think.
Okay.
I mean, there was some huff over people's Facebook posts of like, we should combine the Denver and Colorado Springs all into one because the guy in Colorado Springs, lifted all of Colorado's Blood Bowl up from the ground and nothing, and not Ant totally running everything for many years. So yeah, Blood Bowl hasn't been played in a long time, but this digital version probably not going to get played anytime soon either.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's
maybe there's a chance they'll be like, you know what? Let's actually make it good, but doubtful.
At this point, I feel they're just going to abandon it before it even gets to that point.
Did 2 start out? Was it good? Like,
it also started out rough.
Okay.
Yeah. because all the teams weren't there, and people were like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah.
But at least some of those base mechanics were there, where they're just not even.
They're not
here.
even. Didn't Ant say that he felt the roles were like more chaotic in that versus?
Yeah, he did. So how it worked in Blood Bowl 2 is that they rolled like hundreds of D6s basically before the game even started, and it would just be sequential of which die you got based on its random pre-roll that it did for the entire game, top to bottom. So it was basically predetermined.
You just didn't know.
You just didn't know for every roll in the game. It just depended on what action happened that needed that die roll at that time, whether it was going to be a 1 or 1 to 6.
Gotcha.
But, and I mean,
So
and how
what
many of those die were needed?
Right. So it like, do they just like roll one die a bunch of times and then it would just like, oh, we need 2 of those. So we're just going to take the first and second roll.
Correct.
Oh.
And then, yeah, it would just go in that sequence from 1 to 1,000,000, and like the first roll of the game is going to use that first one, and then if you have a 2 die block, it's going to use the second and the third, and it was just that's how their die system worked.
Did they also have like for rolling for like push and stuff like that? They had a separate rolls for those, and
I mean, they would assign the block die 1 to 6
for
whatever that would be. So a POW would be a 6, skull would be a 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 2, 3 would be push. 4 both down, 5
weird
dodge POW, 6 POW.
I mean, in terms of a computer game, I guess that's not.
Yeah, but each individual roll was not randomized per roll. It was all predetermined in the background.
Yeah,
from what I remember.
All right then.
Wild.
Yes. So, yeah, Blood Bowl 3's rough and like full fucking price, and well, I guess you can get $30 base game, but you're gonna be paying like $14 per team that come out after. So
sounds like hard pass.
I am currently hard pass.
Cool. Next up,
our favorite, our current favorite, Pandasaurus, having no issues ever. You know that terrible, awful roller coaster game? We're giving it another shot.
But with plastic now instead of cardboard.
Yes. Yeah. So Pandasaurus is releasing Roller Coaster Rush, their first game of 2023, designed by Scott Alms from the Tiny Epic series. And like Zach said, using plastic roller coaster pieces. So during the game, you are going to bid in auctions for different pieces of track that you use to design your coaster.
The previous one was also Scott Holmes.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Coaster Park.
Coaster Park.
That rating is not good on it.
It's bad.
If you auction your own blueprints and you lose, you have to take that track out of your coaster, but you can also win other people's blueprints to get new track to make your coaster bigger and better. You can run some demos on it to test how it works and get some extra money for your auctions. And then at the end of the game, you unveil your entire coaster made up of the plastic pieces, and you run your marble down the coaster to see if it does it. And then whoever has the most points wins.
So I'm assuming that the reason they went plastic is because there's at least some more quality control there versus cardboard pieces that people just built.
Yeah. Well, and then like even, we see what cardboard does here in Denver.
Yeah.
Like your straight track might suddenly have a ramp in it if it was made out of cardboard. Whereas in theory, hopefully the plastic will be better.
I'm curious because I remember when that first one came out, it seemed interesting, and then it just like lead balloon, just because what was it was like 3.8 geek rating on the old one.
Oh, it is a 3.6.
3.6.
Oof.
Like 24,000.
Big oof
on its ranking.
Well, I feel like I think it was like the last year I went to Gen Con was the year they debuted it.
Yes.
And like a bunch of people like went and played it over at their booth and were like, oh no, this is not good.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Paul will never buy Pandasaurus again because of his experience with that one.
Coaster Park sits between Trump the Game and Trivial Pursuit Genius Edition.
Trump the Game is worse than it, just as an
Correct,
FYI.
yes. Yeah.
I've played that game before.
Chinese checkers right in there.
I remember, they had at one of the breweries we went to, they had like Trump the board game in their random like pile of like ancient games well before President Trump. And those were simpler times.
Yeah.
Back when you could just laugh at that kind of thing. Not be like, that man ran the country for a little bit.
Unfortunately. Sorry. He was just looking at, there's a game worse than that one was called.
Yeah, it must be like some stolen reprint version, or
what is it?
Of
Alien Nostromo, which is that like Ravensburger version, but it must be some like fake
interesting
version on BGG that's been like review bound. I was like, I remember this game being good. It's not like a real, I don't know.
Gotcha.
You get deep dark into the BGG rankings and you find some weird
Go down
stuff.
to the bottom. Just how far into the worst is it?
It is on page 241 of, let's call it 1432.
So nowhere near the worst.
Nowhere near the worst, apparently.
But we are getting close to where they stop rank. Actually, it is at the bottom of ranked. It only goes to 24,066, and it's 24,004. So it's about as bad as they actually bother putting a number to.
Tic-tac-toe.
Tic-tac-toe, Shoots and Ladders, Candyland, bottom 3. It's all those games.
Anyway,
Oregon Trail's living down there.
moving on to the crowdfundings.
Yes.
Which is all Kickstarter this time.
You sure are. First up, I was in the South. First up, Alice is Missing. Very well funded. $160,000 of its $10,000 goal.
Silent Falls expansion, Jeff?
Oh, whatever. Everyone's in here for the fucking base game. 2,900 backers. About a week left to go, and you can get it for about $20.
Yep. So this is, as Zach pointed out, mostly officially the expansion for Alice is Missing, but you can get, I believe, the base game as well.
It has been like hard to find out of print for a while, I believe.
Actually, they do not have a pledge that includes regular Alice is Missing, unless it is available as an add-on.
I would assume as add-on. They're not just going to leave money on the fucking table.
You never know. People do weird things. So the expansion adds some new characters, some new villains, and some new item cards and things like that. Just basically giving you a little bit more options. Probably adds a little bit to the replayability.
You can add on the core game for $10 for a PDF.
There you go.
$20 for a core game.
Okay. Yeah, it seems reasonable.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are not aware, Alice is Missing is a role-playing game where you are all friends in a small town whose other friend has gone missing. Alice has gone missing, and you're trying to solve the mystery of what happened to Alice. The kind of hook to this game, the thing that makes it different, is it is played entirely by text message. So we played this at Cabin Con last year, myself and most of the Mile High Dungeon Delvers crew. And basically, like, the game, you know, as part of the setup, you're supposed to, like, make sure everybody exchanges, like, phone numbers. And then you're supposed to go in and, like, resave your contacts so that, like, if the three of us were playing, I wouldn't be playing with, like, I'd change my contact information from Zach to whatever Zach's character is. And same thing with Jeff, and they do the same for me. So that when you're texting, you're getting the text from, like, the character names. And everybody's kind of got, like, their character role, how they know Alice, their relationship, their secrets and things, creaky steps.
Yeah.
And so, you text through, it's a 90-minute game. You set a timer. If you're playing somewhere, like when we played it at Cabin Con, we had a computer and we went to their, like, website that has a 90-minute timer with background music that, like, is fitting of the theme and everything. And basically every 10 minutes or so, there's a new card that gets revealed that, like, adds some new information in the story, and then everybody's texting about it and stuff. It was shockingly powerful. Like, it was probably one of the single most immersive role-playing experiences I've ever had. I was really impressed with like how well, and granted I was playing with like I said, the Dungeon Delvers crew.
People that you knew well. So
yeah, we knew each other well, and like and who are good role players. Like, we all lean into the role play when we do Dungeon Delvers, and this is definitely, it's a game. The more you lean into that role play and kind of let yourself get into it, the more you're gonna get out of it. But it was heavy, and I know that's one of the things that is always a little bit of an issue with this game, is like, depending on some of there's some setup decisions you can make about it, like, but
can children get harmed, like things like that, trigger sort of things.
Like, do we want to have a world where like, Alice had like any kind of like
mental problems or physical problems
or like what happened to her, like is she just ran away, or like did something bad happen, and like those are all things you kind of decide like at the start of the game where you're okay with going with that type of themes and stuff.
So the expansion for this is just adding more of the cards. It's more of the cards, like you said, for variability. It sounds like it's not changing it. It's just adding different instances of things.
Correct. I did not see anything in here that seemed like it was particularly changing the core gameplay. I was trying to find where they had what all it included. So it's 38 new cards. 4 new characters, 2 new relationships, so a total of 12 new prompts, 3 new suspects, 3 new locations, 4 new searching cards, and 22 new clue cards, with basically 2 additional cards for each standard timestamp, 3 additional 10-minute cards, which is like the last card, and then a replacement 90-minute card that's like other way around, 10-minute is like the setup. And then the 90-minute is like, hey, this is about to end, like what happens, kind of a thing. So, I don't know. I really liked Alice is Missing. I'm probably going to back this just so I have it. It's one I again want to play with. It's tough. You definitely want to find the right group. I feel like, just because of the very heavy subject matter and the fact that it's a game that's only going to work if people are really willing to buy into the concept.
Yeah.
And like lean into the, hey, we're kids texting each other like as we go through this. But it was interesting because like in our game,
make everyone use T9 texting. then I'll really feel it.
Yeah. We even had like in ours, like there ended up being like little side groups and stuff. So like there'd be like, everybody had individual messages going, and then there would be like a big all 5 of us group text, but then there was like a little like side like 2 or 3 person group text that was like,
was there any 4?
I don't know if there was a 4.
I bet there was a 4 and just Adrian wasn't.
I was the odd man out. Yeah.
This fucking guy's the murderer.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was really, really good. The other thing that this has as an option, if you want to just throw away a lot of money or throw a lot of money at this thing, for $250, you can get the memory box. So they've come up with this like keepsake experience. And the $250 is all of them, but you can do the tier 1, 2, or 3, depending on if you find them interesting. But like tier 1 is passing notes. So it's a collection of 5 envelopes that hold a paper prop from the world of Silent Falls. So it might be like a note that the kids passed, or like something from the school, like a report card or something like that. Just add a little bit of depth and flavor. Tier 2 is like small physical tokens that links players to Alice. And then tier 3 is like significantly larger stuff. Like they mentioned like a t-shirt potentially, worn old band t-shirt, school varsity patches, other unique memorabilia.
A candle is in there as well,
potentially.
I think.
Yeah. So it's like random selection out of like, so you get like 5 things, but it's like random out of a group of 20.
Gotcha.
The photos they show, like you can see like the paper one, it's got like a newspaper clipping. It's got like, I think that's a report card. And then it's got like the little like foldy paper numbers game that kids played. Tier 2 is a bunch of knickknacks. Like there's like a key on a little plastic keychain, like for like a school locker, a Polaroid, a little button, like a little twiny bracelet. Tier 3 has like an old ratty teddy bear, like a magazine, stuff like that. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah, kind of interesting.
Next up.
Next up.
Scholars of the South Tigris. Extremely well funded. 323,000 of its $14,000 goal. About 4,300 backers. About a week left to pledge this one, which you can for about $56 dues.
Good old dollary dues.
Yeah. So I know this one.
Go for it.
Because I backed it. So this is the part 2 of the South Tigris series. This one, you are hiring translators to translate a bunch of medieval writings into Arabic. So it is also a dice action game with a color wheel system.
Yes.
Along with worker placement, worker modifying. So a big part of this is the dice. Like the cones that some would say.
The dice matter.
The dice matter.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of actions like recruiting and translating and whatever. Whenever you do one of these actions, you put a die on there. There's white, purple, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and then white for around on either side of that, basically. The white is the neutral die. Some actions matter primary color. Some actions require secondary color. Some actions require number and color. Some just matter number without color. If you put a white die down, it's whatever that number is and white. If you put that white die down with a white worker, that now becomes a 6. If you put that white die down with a primary color worker, that becomes that color worker. And it gets more complex from there. So you can put multiple color dies on there that are primary colors, and that will combine to be that secondary color for that action. So there is basically every which way to modify all of your dice placements to get them into different colors.
Okay.
Because all of these books are different varieties of knowledge, like physics, astronomy, like agriculture, whatever. And each of those is one of those colors or primary colors or secondary colors. So you might want certain primary or secondary colors to move one of 6 different tracks up that all have the wondrous Shem Phillips fucking iconography that's been in all of the different games.
Sure.
But there is also a recruit action. There are translators. Each translator has various different languages they know, and depending on what languages they know, depends on which text that you can translate. You are paying those translators. There's a bunch of spaces at the bottom of the board, 10 different spaces that go between 1 and 3 gold. Basically, when they get filled up on their amount of gold, they retire. And then depending on who claimed that translator, will get to claim them on their player board, and we'll get special, stuff when they do that sort of action. It seems like a pretty neat game. I could see the 7 colors of dice getting fairly complex because the color wheel is very important to this game. The South Tigris system continues on a lot of the same stuff that's been in the previous games with the little banner research markers, but now there's the new little asterisk influence markers. That's kind of how you're claiming who's got what on the board. But it seems like everything else is kind of your usual Shem Phillips things. There's in this previous game in the series, there's different guilds, so you're kind of claiming influence in those guilds.
Oh, yeah.
On top of that, and then going up the 6 different color tracks. It is also available on Tabletop Simulator.
There you go.
Yeah, it seems like another like super different, weird game of his that I will probably also enjoy. And I have backed it for the Coin Scholar. Comes with the metal coins.
There you go.
It seems like the more recent ones have come in the already big box with the insert version, so hopefully there's not going to be another run of deluxe box editions like the first 6 games had.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess I never really dove into the North Sea. That's kind of punny. Series besides the one.
I think I played. So there's what's the first Raiders?
Well, I don't think that was even the first one. I think that was the second one.
Was it Shipwrights?
Shipwrights, Explorers, and then Raiders.
I want to say I've done Shipwrights and Raiders.
Yeah. But both of those had like some deluxe edition box, but it's sort of like, I never really got the other two. Yeah.
I did one of those 2, and then I've done Paladins.
I haven't done Paladins, but I did the other one.
Architects.
Yes.
Oh, I've done Architects as well, I think.
Paladins is
And
like...
you've done Viscounts because
and
we streamed
Viscounts,
it.
yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've done more than I thought of his.
Yeah.
And then we tried out... No, we just unboxed the first one.
We
of this.
unboxed Viscounts. Yes.
No, or whatever the first...
Astronomers. I don't know. I bet it's on this page. Wayfarers of the South Tigris. Cartographers of the South Tigris, basically. So yeah,
There you go.
it's another one of those. It looks good. It's not too expensive. I'll take it.
Sounds good. That wraps up news and Kickstarter.
No fan feedback.
I don't believe so.
No, I didn't see any.
So that wraps up the episode then.
I totally forgot to talk about Star Trek Picard Season 3.
First good?
It's going all right.
Okay.
They're hitting all the fucking nostalgic spots finally.
There you go.
Because someone else took over the fucking show from the awful people from the awful dude from season 1 and 2, where they're like, there is a field full of Borg infected spec ops dudes with assault rifles between them and the ship, and all they've got is a corkscrew and like the little wine knife that cuts the like plastic on the top of like the fucking wine bottle or whatever, you know? And they're like, we got to get from here to there, and this is all we got. We're probably not going to make it. And then they just run out of this field with just dozens of dudes with laser sights on them, and then they're just in the ship after, and they don't show how or why or they made it.
It lets you look. It gives you your mind would come up with a better explanation than they could. So.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah. Anyways, Picard Season 3, doing great so far.
Cool.
Yeah.
There you go.
Big fan. 3 episodes in.
Nice. But yeah, no other listener feedback or any at all. That wasn't really listener feedback. That was Jeff late banter.
I just needed everyone to know that it's not bad yet. So
Yes, Zach.
No, I was gonna say I played all of Ghost of Tsushima again.
all of? Did you restart it, or did you start from where you left off?
I restarted it.
Oh wow!
I played about 32 hours of it.
Don't I have your Ghost of Tsushima?
Yeah, I got the digital deluxe one because I did PlayStation Plus's thing, so you get access to some of their other games because they had the expansion in there. And I did not have the expansion, so I just started the expansion. But I wanted to rebeat the entire game before I did the expansion, so that's what I did.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it's a very fun game. I like it a lot.
Okay. That wraps up the episode. If you want to get a hold of us and have listener feedback, things for us to talk about in future episodes, you can send us an email.
Emails at milehighgameguys.com.
And that's really the main way to get a hold of us. That
and
matters.
Slack, our Slack channel. Which
join the Slack.
Which is...
There's links in show notes.
Where we do things and schedule things and play things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got just a couple more months until
2
Cabin
months.
Con.
Yep.
2 months till Cabin Con. So
Yeah.
Woo.
join Slack if you want to be involved in future Cabin Cons.
Woo.
Maybe we can keep growing it, make Paul do more and more work.
I don't have to cut my Cabin Con vacation because of this fucking trip to Chicago and Mississippi, so that's good.
There you go.
There you go.
I don't think I work the weekend of Cabin Con either, which is nice. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway.
There's no way to know.
No way to know.
Just travel back and forth between DIA and Winter Park every day.
It should be fine. 12 hours.
We had a dude who drove every day from Boulder. And I was like, we have a guy who drives every day from the Springs that he works.
Oh, fuck
It's
that.
like, why would you do this to yourself?
No.
Fuck everything about that. Anyway, that's it for this episode.
Commuting.
Yeah. if we already told you how to get a hold of us.
Yeah.
So that's just going to be all of it. As always, I've been your host, Adrian.
I am still Zach.
And I'm Southern Jeff.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.